What's going on, motorcycle fans and enthusiasts? We have some very exciting news in the world of two wheels. The KLR650 is back. Now to some, this might not be that exciting, but for me, I think it is. This bike has a lot of history. Many of us were sad to see it go, and I've always admired the versatility of those bikes. They're like the AK-47 of motorcycles. And the appeal to many and the reason why that bike lasted for all of those years was just the fact that it was good, cheap fun. Other than the oil burning and the doohickey issues, these things were pretty much bulletproof. A lot of people called them the tanker because of the ridiculous 6-gallon fuel tank. But if you wanted to do some adventure riding and not break the bank, the KLR650 was the bike to get. Now in 1984, I believe, it started out as the KLR600, and that competed with the XR600 and other bikes in that lineup. But years following, they went up to the 650cc engine, and then it pretty much stayed the same for the next 30 years. There were a few generation changes. I'm not gonna focus too much on that, but it was mainly cosmetic. Now you heard me say the word doohickey. Now that's what the KLR community called the balancer chain adjuster lever. That's a mouthful. Long story short, the old design was very prone to breaking, so they did update that in 2008. Other companies came out with replacements, but it could cause some pretty serious engine damage. Besides that, the things were rock solid, and comparing the KLR to other bikes in that category, you're just not gonna come anywhere close to the value per dollar. This was a bike that wasn't gonna break the bank and could pretty much do anything. So enough about the history. As you know, in 2018, Kawasaki decided to discontinue the lineup. That was not a choice of their own. It was just the fact that emission standards just got more strict over the years, and it eventually caught up and they could no longer produce that engine. They pretty much left us in the dark with no hints. I know a lot of us were hoping for a complete redesign, maybe with 700 cc's to compete with the T7, and that's something that I still would like to see. Unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna happen for a while. But to much surprise, Kawasaki came out and announced the 2022 KLR650. So right off the bat, what's different? Obviously, more cosmetic changes. We'll get into that here in a bit, but I think they are good changes. The biggest thing is fuel injection. Now overall, the engine is pretty much the same. They just slapped a 40mm throttle body on there and brought it into the new age. So it still has all of those characteristics of a big thumper that many of us have come to love. Others, not so much. That parallel twin is pretty nasty from Yamaha. Even the transmission is the same, not even 6 speeds, so that's a letdown. I think it's ridiculous that we can't get 6 gears in 2022. But as the phrase goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Still rocking a 17-inch wheel in the rear. I personally would rather have an 18, there's just more tire options, but there still is plenty to choose from. Now this seems to be a common trend, but the frame is a one-piece design. That means the subframe is integrated, and if you break or bend it, you're kinda SOL. I noticed they did that with a 300L as well. The argument is weight savings and extra rigidity, and KLRs did have subframe issues in the past, so who knows, maybe that's not a bad thing. As thick seems to be the new trend, she gained some lbs. The new girl is weighing in at 456 pounds compared to the previous generation of 432 pounds. That is a noticeable difference. But some of that weight is definitely due to the new cosmetic upgrades. To start off, you have 4 different trim levels. You've just got your base 650, the 650 ABS, the Traveler, and the Adventurer. The Traveler trim level just has a top case, a USB port, and a power outlet, and the Adventure adds on to that with the side cases, those badass auxiliary lights, and the engine guard. To me, I probably wouldn't get the ABS version. I'm more of a purist in that sense where I just don't like electronics making decisions for me. But it's not necessarily a bad thing and could help you out in several cases. The display is pretty basic, but I like that. Just keeps that minimalist theme. Personally, I love the new redesign compared to the last generation, that just bubbly, weird, kind of gross looking, love it or hate it style that they did. This one to me kind of just brings back the military-esque look And this is a bike that the military used. So personally, I like the new design and I really wouldn't mind owning one. I've always wanted to own a bigger CC dual sport or adventure bike. I did notice heated hand grips on the adventure model as well. So I don't know if that is a factory option with the adventure model. That'd be sweet. It does have an upgraded generator output to provide that power. Same size fuel tank at 6.1 gallons. With a fuel injection, I would imagine you would get into the high threes as far as range. And I guess the shape of the tank has been redesigned to add a little bit more legroom. So that's a nice improvement. The seat is the same. I guess the front windscreen is now 2 inches taller and you can also adjust it to get an extra inch. You know, every inch counts. What can I say? But it does have that sport bike front end look, just kind of like the H2. The suspension has some tweaks to give it a little bit more travel. The overall wheelbase of the bike has been increased, supposedly to give better handling. I don't know if that's something you would actually notice. Maybe. Hopefully I can get my hands on one. There have also been some upgrades in the clutch. I know the previous generations were said to be pretty clunky, so hopefully the new gen is more refined. But overall, just new bodywork, improved ergonomics, a little bit better braking. I haven't seen any power numbers yet, so hopefully this bike squeezes a little bit more power with that fuel injection. I would imagine it does. Now, some of you out there that were hoping for a complete redesign may be disappointed, but to me, I'm kind of glad that this is the approach that they took. Anything beyond that would just raise the price more, and the price is what makes the KLR650 what it is. The base model without ABS runs $6,700, 7 with ABS, $74 for the Traveler Edition, and $8,000 for the Adventure. So is the Adventure model worth over $1,000 more than the base model? I would say yes if you like the design of the bags and want to buy something already set up to ADV ride with. To me, I just like factory components. They just fit well, they look well, and I don't think you would save that much money if you bought the base and then just put all your own custom parts on it. So unless you want to be different, I think the Adventure model makes sense. I do love that desert tan color though. That is just awesome. So funny enough, a couple months ago, I actually came across a really good deal on a newer gen KLR650 and I almost bought it. So if this is a bike that you'd want to see on the channel, let me know. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for a bunch of off-road content. I broke my leg at the end of last season, but I'm hoping in the next few months to get back on a bike, and I wanted to start out doing some dual sport and ADV riding. So maybe I'll get my hands on one of these bikes, or would you rather see me on a smaller dual sport? That being said, I just want to thank Kawasaki for bringing this bike back. Once again, comparing it to any other bike in that category, you're just not going to get that value. And that price point and the basic mechanics of the bike is what makes it what it is. So I'm glad to see that it'll be around for years to come. Let me know your comments down below. Let me know what you think of the 2022 KLR650. Minor upgrades, but they were needed and enough to bring it back to life. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. If you made it this far, I appreciate you watching. And until the next video, we'll see you then.